What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another more of a deck analysis is what I'm going to do. I am for a long haul on this one. Today, I want to be talking about the Amajiki list that I took and played to a first place, second place split finish at a Provisional Store Championship. Decks under Chaos. You've seen me play this a couple times on stream with Unfun Friday and Webcam Wednesday, and I've played it on Tabletop Simulator, and I'm absolutely infatuated with this deck, and so I want to show and share the results and kind of give if you want to play this deck at home, how you make it happen. So Amajiki, 7 size, 20 health character. We're playing on Chaos. This guy is the pinnacle of the late game, let's play it late kind of idea. We want to play as late into the game as possible, because the later we play, the more we scale, the harder we hit, and the more inevitable we are. It stops you from playing the game, and it makes me play the game more. I have had 3 separate people say, I don't want to play the game with you anymore after playing against this deck. So that's the results, is to make people not have fun. So the number one, the elevator pitch of the deck is you need momentum. You just got to have momentum in order to do your cool things. And so we don't even necessarily care early game if we land hits. I don't care about landing hits. I'm down to just play a move, use my once per turn, make it go to momentum. But if I can steal 2 momentum a turn, hey, now we're talking, right? Especially specifically face up momentum. And then just using intelligent once per turns of I'll push this for a bunch of damage, I'll give this a bunch of minus damage. And one of the big things about this character is the mind games that you can play with that once per turn. I play an attack. It's the only attack I'm going to play this turn. I don't use my once per game on it, even though I could, right? It makes sense for me to. But because I didn't play my once per game on it, or once per turn on it, excuse me, they don't block, because they expect the once per turn on another move. And so then I build and pass, and then I got my 4 damage in, I move on. But I want to start talking about the deck, and we can move on with it. So here's the character. Attack wise, I'm kind of going attacks in the order of importance and what was best serving me throughout the weekend of the playtesting. And the number one MVP of the deck is for sure just 4 Clawstopper. This card saying if I have momentum, just draw a free resource is incredible. It being a 4 mid for 4 means that it feels good to both block and not block, and I'm down for them to block this and use my once per my static on it to shove it in my momentum, and then try and get a different thing through. I'm down for you to block this card. I'm also super down for you not to block this card, because it means that I can use my once per turn on a different attack, right? Playing things like double Clawstopper feels so good of draw a card. And then, more importantly, once it's in my momentum, the cycle draw is how you actually find 7 attack hands. I kid you not. Later on in the game, having triple Clawstopper in your momentum says that eventually you'll just find the good ones. Oh, you need to fix your block modifiers. Do you have cool on-block tricks? Well, this is the way to make it happen. The next important attack is just Vast Hybrid. Using this once per turn is way better than using this once per turn in order to get attacks through. I'm down to play a Clawstopper, make it a 6 for 4, and then let it rock. And then also the Commit and Freeze, my Rival Foundation, says that they didn't build one last turn, which means that I get to play more defense. I am super down to play a poke, build 5 pass, hold 1, maybe 2 good cards. And if that poke was a Vast Hybrid, I get to say that when you built 4, you actually built 3, so you can't push back into me. This combined with Amajiki's once per turn of giving them minus damage says that you can't actually push real damage into me. Slow and steady is this kind of gameplay. But we do need to make some amount of damage happen, and so we're just playing 0/0 Gravity Lift. You easily could take one of these Vast Hybrids and make it into a third and just run 3 and 3. But I'm liking the 4-2 split, and I've got another one of these in the sideboard, which we will talk about here in a bit. This card is fine. I never want to use its momentum ability, though. Truthfully, it's just that it's a throw. It's a 3 high for 6 throw. Sometimes I do want to use the momentum, but if I use the momentum ability on this card, I think I'm killing you that turn. And so you should be nervous. You should be afraid. You should be scared whenever the momentum ability triggers on this card. Up next, we're playing triple electric jolt. Everybody screams, you gotta play 4 jolt in this deck. You gotta play 4 jolt in this deck. I don't think you do. I almost never want to flip the jolt. It's here just because it has the static of it goes into my momentum face up, and it guarantees the damage, right? And so like an easy play gets to be I play Claw Stopper that gets blocked into jolt that gets blocked with 2 mid blocks. This one still deals 1. I use my character to push this one in. I now have -4 damage on my next turn. That negates a jolt. That says that my opponent's jolt doesn't work. And so like there's a lot of really cool things. And again, just like with the zero gravity lift, I want this thing face up in my momentum. I want it as face up as it can be. I don't want to flip it unless I'm spending that momentum. I don't want it. The other cool thing about this card, and there's been a couple pictures in my Discord running around about it. This card has EX. It's the only keyword rating that we have. So I at one point had 11 momentum. I gave my move plus 13 damage and then gave it 22 speed. Hey, this is a 22-25 mid for 15 catch. Oh, you didn't block my jolt? Ah, shucks. Yeah, this card feels super good. Oh, I totally messed this up. I grabbed the rest of my pile. The next card that I want to talk about is just Chicken Kick. Chicken Kick is so cool. The main reason I wanted to put Chicken Kick in the deck is if you look at the attack lineup, a lot of it is like some pretty okay statted moves, and I'm not really pumping stats that much outside of Amajiki. If I can figure out how to put a Chicken Kick into my momentum using either the static on the ability or some card text or whatever, it says all my moves get +1 damage for free. Just they all get a free +1 damage just for the rest of time. Can't even imagine having double Chicken Kick, but it's also like a really good one low block, which is great for the meta. And also, once you have established that Chicken Kick can become a scary card, right? It's a card that sometimes can just, kill you from out of nowhere. People start losing their mind on Chicken Kick and start playing as many once per turn enhances as possible on their cards, so that after your Chicken Kick resolves and they block it because they put all of the stats, the minus stats on it, you just kill them with an indiscriminate shock. You took their low block from them because Chicken Kick is a scary card, and then you kill them with indiscriminate, which is essentially another once per turn from Amajiki, right? Amajiki says once per turn plus damage equal to your momentum. This says plus damage equal to the number of cards they have committed. So boom, boom. And if you get really lucky, you can stack them both together. I normally don't, though. I normally put the once per turn on something like a Chicken Kick to make it scary, and then I'm actually planning on killing you with this thing here. Funny Chicken Kick joke, putting all of your eggs in one basket in this deck is a really easy way for you to get killed. There's a lot of really good answers to a really tall move, things like wall things like face shield that really mess up your deck. And so it is tough. It's tough. With that, the other big kill condition that we have is 1 Blitz Rush. We want to talk about using this once per turn again. This is it, right? +2 damage for each of my momentum is incredible. And this thing is such an incredible surprise deadlock ability. I have 11 momentum, enhance, commit your entire stage. Okay, now we're off to the races. Hey, this is a 4 high for 22-29 damage. Catch. If you have any amount of vast hybrids on here that you get to increase the speed, it just kills them outright. The card feels so good. Everybody keeps telling me to cut this card. I don't think I will ever cut this card. I think this will be the calling card for TamCardwell's Amajiki for the rest of time. It's so good. And then last couple attacks, we have 1 Seafood Slugger. This has my face on it, but it is genuinely the most unimpressive card that I have seen in this deck. When it comes to having it on turn 2, it's abysmal because it's tough for us to get that momentum on turn 2. Turn 3 feels pretty good, but it also feels really bad. It's big feast or famine, right? It's big feast or famine. It doesn't hit very hard. It's slow for the zone that it's in. It probably should just be a different move. The main reason that I keep forcing myself to include it is it's just a low block. And I'm just so nervous about what Mirio has got going on in his life that I'm so obsessed with that guy that I'm playing it. But I just don't think I need it. It's the one card of the deck that I'm really excited to cut. This one is not it. if I had to replace it, I think it's going to be with an Ice Storm, because it does a very similar job to Blitz Rush of having like an incredible deadlock threat. It does a really good job with things like Zero Gravity Lift. Feels really good to wear that plus damage because they can't block with attack cards, as well as it has a powerful out. It says it has powerful a bunch, and so it kind of has like it's my jolt of like, if I can figure out how to give it any amount of speed with things like Vast Hybrid. If let's pretend that this is a Ice Storm, it's probably that slot. So Seafood Slugger, not really doing it for me, but I've heard some people really like that card. Just wasn't it. And then my last card is just One Cheerful Uppercut. I like this card a lot. 5 low for 4 and big disruption energy. I think Breaker is not very good right now because of the amount of anti-Breaker cards that Jasco printed in the most recent set. And so I am doing my absolute best to get around that, and the way that I get around that is I Breaker them for their entire turn, putting the card down to their card pool. And this, combined with the damage reduction that I have from Amajiki, it does not feel that bad. Not to mention there's some other really cheeky tricks of like you can use things like Struggling Studies to pick this card back up and then reblock with it again, or you get to, and we're moving into our actions, you get to play Manifest, right? It's very cool to block with this card, add this card in accidentally face down, then use your Manifest to shove this into your momentum. Oh, it has a face-up ability, and then redraw a card. That feels super, super quality. Being able to like accidentally toss any of these cool moves in face up with your Manifest. This card says +1 damage over the course of -1 damage over the course of a turn cycle for the rest of the game, essentially, as well as draw that card. Incredible 1 high block. Like this card feels so good. Should I increase the number of Manifest? No, not in a defensive deck like this. If you're trying to go for like this Amajiki wombo combo, kill you on turn, do a cool thing, first off, I tell you to go play Nejire. Nejire gets to do that under Air and Chaos, but Amajiki wants to just like play this slow, methodical, I'm gonna play really quality defense and say that you don't get to have any of your cool toys. And then all chaos or all control decks, I think all decks that have these symbols should be playing one main-boarded League of Villains. This card single-handedly won me so many games of like, there's an enhance I can't handle. There's an enhance that my character can't deal with. There's an enhance that XYZ. Oh, you're going to wall cling me. No, you're not. You're going to give your move powerful. Sure, it has it. Spend your momentum. Oh, you powerful? No, you're not. As well as this card hates the good symbol. Think about how often you have felt abysmal, my opponent responding with their nice try on your turn. Burn 1 for it now. Oh, did I stun you and you used, you re-readied it with rescue or keeping Aerie safe? Burn 1 for that. There's an actual tax on the good symbol now, and it's single-handedly due to League of Villains. Every single good symbol deck, you should be sideboarding in the second one. And we'll talk about sideboard later. On to the foundations. We've got 4 easily excited. This card's a 0 diff. It gives speed, which says that things like my claw stoppers are like a little easier to hit. It says that these are 5 high for 6s, and so maybe I could feel good about putting the stats on it. I just want them to commit out just a little bit more, as well as I have to have a quality build. If by turn 2 you don't have 10 foundations in your stage, you might just die as Amajiki. You have to have a quality stage in order to put some amount of defense on the board, which is the reason we're playing triple basic training. The reason we're playing more easily excited versus basic trainings, truthfully, is just block zone coverage. Our block zones are like 22, 22, 20 at the moment. And so like I felt like it was, yes, the deadlock ability on this card is very good, but I just wanted to make sure that if Mirio decided to mix it up and like go mid or go high, that my block zones were as even as possible. And then lastly, 3 feeling cute. I'm so afraid of deadlock. I want to try and hover around 10 foundations as possible, because I think the only way that I lose the game is by joining my opponent in deadlock. I want them to go into deadlock because the deadlock threats that I have are spectacular, right? Like these 2 cards are just like by themselves, and I'm about to add in an additional one, right? It feels very, very good. But I don't want to join them in the sun because I know how potent it is against me. I've had a teammate recommend this as a different card that I'm going to try out, and that is the Midnight card that I can't remember. The 1/5 destroy, play ball committed, +1 to your check, and then if discarded, do a cool thing. That tactically works with Claw Stopper on defense. For you Claw Stopper, draw a card, discard. I think it might be All Worked Up. Is that the name of this card? Yeah, All Worked Up, I think is the name of the card. And then you either get +1 or -1 damage depending. And play ball committed +1 to my check feels very good on offense and defense, and so that feels good. And the last aggro card is just 1 Surge. You could easily push this up to a second copy of Surge. It's my momentum out. It targets every single attack in my deck and says, hey, this has EX2. I'll give it 11 damage. I'll give it 22 speed. It turns everything into that electric jolt that I was talking about earlier. That example. Like imagine that, but now it's on Chicken Kick. Imagine that, but it's on Indiscriminate Shock. Right? These 2 cards are like born for each other. But that's really where it's at. It's just flip to try and kill them. Onto the flow cards, we're playing the most important card in the deck, and that is Vast Hybrid. This is the #1 card you want to see on turn 1 every single time. The only reason it's not at a 4 of is because it's unique. In other decks, you could play it at like a 1, maybe a 2 of. In this deck, you want to slam it at a 3 of because you're allowed to have all 3 of these in your momentum face up, and they're all allowed to plus your check. Just incredible. I used to really try, when I first was trying out the deck, I was like, oh, I want to wait until I can form and get the damage on my moves, but then I realized it's just like a bad impression of like what Chicken Kick is already doing. I don't need this. I need to pass checks, man. Did you see how many 5 diffs I was playing? I was playing a 6 diff. If you have 3 of these in and you play your 6 diff second, it becomes a 3 diff. That's nuts. I'll play my Blitz Rush on a 4. This card is cracked. It is snapped. And the most important part about it is it goes into your character, and now it's -3 damage. -3 + 3. -4 + 4. -5 + 5. -5 or +5 speed, or +5 damage deletes an attack, which means I don't have to block anymore, which means I get to actually sculpt and try and do other cool things. The next big flow card is just Ryuku's Training Agencies. It's a low block that says if you block, I get to build in the middle of my combo. I'm not playing any weird like echo moves or whatever, and so sometimes it feels weird. The only thing that it like dis-synergizes in the deck is like Vast Hybrid. Vast Hybrid says your next check to play a card. Sometimes that gets eaten up by the trainees, but you've built a card, and so like it kind of goes even, but it kind of doesn't, because like you had this ready and blah 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 blah. This card feels pretty cool, and it also you get to re-ready it with requesting assistance. So like you can like one of the coolest things that you can do is like have a momentum. Like I have a momentum, I have a Vast Hybrid on board, I've got a Vast Hybrid in my hand, right? I use the form on Vast Hybrid and I put it in my momentum as one of my enhances. They block my move. I then play the Vast Hybrid, build it down, play the form as an enhance, and then put it in. So there's like cheeky things like that you get to do, or like you didn't have Surge, and now we get to build the Surge down in the middle of the combo. This card just like accidentally messes up my opponent's math, and that's pretty good. The next card is Force Quirk Activation. It's just this card, but from the discard pile. 9 times out of 10, and I mean this truthfully, when I Force Quirk Activation, I go for Vast Hybrid. I think this is the most important foundation in the deck. Having +1 or having +1 to your check over the course of the turns says that this card counts as 2 foundations while in my momentum and can't be flipped, right? They have to specifically mess with momentum in order to do so, and I have ways to counter that. Never, ever, ever use the bottom enhance of Destroy, choose one of their enhances. That ability sucks. We always want to go snag ourselves a momentum because it's plus or minus damage, and it's a cool ability in our momentum. Up next, for Chivalrous, I mean, it's just like a really expensive card. The budget version of this just plays the big 3, right? If I have 3 attacks in my card pool, I draw a card. Does not feel nearly as good on turn 2, but like that's a really quality deadlock threat. Could easily see it in the sideboard. Would probably feel good. And then Chivalrous is like flip, will both draw a card, and so like on turn 2, I want to be an 8-hander, a 9-hander, a 10-hander if possible. Combining draws with this and then like Claw Stopper just like feels super powerful. Up next, the most important zero diff in our deck, and I kid you not, is just requesting. We always have a momentum, and we always want to have 10 foundations. For every requesting we have, it's another bonus foundation. So this card feels just like super quality. I'm a fan of this one, but I could easily see you playing it at a 3 of. I don't know why you would, though. Not in Amajiki. Not in Amajiki. Alright, I lied to you guys. This is the most important card on the deck, and this is the reason the deck works. It's 4 Broken Psyche. When I said everybody loses their mind whenever Chicken Kick is on the board, everybody loses their mind whenever Broken Psyche is on the board. This card is incredible. This card is incredible. It is a turn 2 play with Vast Hybrid. The best 2 cards to open in. If you open these 2 cards in like one more foundation, it's a keepable hand. I play this, I play this, I play my foundation. I get to survive on turn 2, which is the thing that like a lot of characters like don't get to say that they do at the moment. This card says that my opponent's Jiro, their cannon, doesn't kill me. Hey, I'll put it to 75 damage. No, you'll put it to 2. I can take 2. In fact, I'll put it to 2 and then use my once per turn and put it to 0. You can have 1 momentum and 0 out. Become Mirio, which is insane in a character that steals a momentum every turn. There's so many times where I have had all 4 of these out on the board and 7 momentum. And I look at my opponent and go, you can't win. It's not possible. I will amass a winning strategy before you can get through this. And it's been true. If you are if everybody's watching this and you're like, how do I beat Amajiki? This is the number 1 card you have to target. You have to get rid of this card. This card says that you get to stay alive. Next defense card is 1 Levitate. This card is super spicy. On block. After you block with a foundation, draw a card, discard a card, just like filters your hand a little bit. There's so many times where I've had like a feeling cute or an easily excited in my hand, and I have drawn into a Vast Chimera Kraken and been like, oh, these all are 2 high blocks. Yeah, I'll discard this feeling cute. I'd much rather have the attack in my hand, and if I have to panic block with the attack, I certainly can. But the truly powerful part about this card is actually just that bottom enhance. Enhance, discard 1 momentum, discard cards from the top of your deck until you discard a foundation. Add that card to your hand. That doesn't say once per turn. If I have this card and I have 11 foundations, they're allowed to play 11 attacks, and I'm allowed to draw 11 blocks. I'll draw a block card for every single one of them. So as I am attempting to not block with these attacks out of my hand, I'm going and I'm finding blocks, even if they're partial blocks, even if they're whatever, it is saving me that health, and I get to spend my entire cash in order to do it. This is another one of those cards, kind of like Surge, of, man, I wish I had room to play a second one, but in order to keep the deck slimmed down, I felt like I could only play 1. You could maybe play a second one in the sideboard if you felt it, or if you can like make the deck a little bigger, your choice. Up next, playing triple release. This card feels pretty good, right? Destroy one of your foundations plus 2 to your check. Combining that with the increased check potential of Vast Hybrid, you really kind of get to just block everything, right? Yeah, these 2 cards are wonderful at saying my opponent actually doesn't have any real speed pump. I'm just gonna block it all. Up next, double encouraging training partner. Hey, put the speed to 0. We'll increase our checks and do all of that jazz. The other cool thing about encouraging is it says that the downside of this card doesn't exist anymore. Offensively, if I'm planning on using my once per turn on it, my very first enhance is flip. I'll put its speed to 4. Your enhance. Oh, you passed? This is now a 5 low for 5 that's only getting faster. This card feels really good to utilize the encouraging, and it also just says that, like, I mean, I want to block cards with my 7-hand size character. This card allows me to do it, and so does Sun Eater of the Big 3. So everybody read the response on this card and we're like, oh my goodness, this card is absolutely cracked. When you lose a momentum, you draw a card and get a momentum back. That's insane. You're right. That is insane. An incredible playable while committed ability. You know what's also insane? I'll flip for minus 11 speed. That's also pretty good. I played against a Sato that played 2 kicks, the second one being a reciprocal extend, and then played the 5-diff Clear Your Card Pool EX2 card and gave it plus 2 speed from the extend, plus 6 speed from the 2 cards in the card pool, and a bonus momentum. And I gave it minus 11 and said, low block, your turn. And he goes, build 2 pass, and then I killed him. This card feels so good. There's obviously 2 in the sideboard. You easily could feel like maining 4 of these if you really wanted to. I kind of want to push it up to a 3 of. This card was cracked every time that I saw it. Next we've got Struggling with Studies. Struggling is really cool. I mean, we already mentioned the fact that you get to do this cool thing with it, but the coolest thing you get to do with it truly is you, on the second attack, right, you block and then stuff their card pool. From there, you get to take and when they play their third attack, you play Manifest, shove this card into your momentum face up, flip Struggling, lift Manifest, play Manifest, shove this into your card pool face up, and then redraw a card. You drew 2 cards, cleared your card pool by 1, and now just increased if I didn't have momentum for 4, I now have minus 4 damage. So there's your defense on the third attack. This kind of heads up play with what's going on here was really cool. Oh, and one more thing about Manifest. One of the cool things that I got to do on a previous turn was I had my opponent block with a Faith Shield, and they Faith Shielded my move. Well, then I played another move, played Manifest, and Manifest says this card goes to your momentum face up. And so I was just given a free Zero Grav Lift. Oh, I'll use Zero Grav Lift, and I'll clear this one too. Okay, well now I'm back to just having the 1 card in my card pool as I continue out my turn. It felt really cool. And so, like, there's a lot of neat shenanigans that you get to do with defensive pieces like that. And then the last card is just double Irrefutable Force of Nature. We're playing a control deck. I need my moves to hit. So things like Walklings can't exist. Hey, I need my moves to hit. I need to go to deadlock in this this exact case. Hey, pull no punches, you don't get to work. I'm sorry, man. There's so many good earth, fire, water foundations that this card touches, and if they don't work, if this card is not feeling good enough, just side it out. I think it's way better to have this card in the main board than it is in the sideboard, and have it be at bare minimum remove to stop a card rather than not have it game 1 feel like you're missing it, so on and so forth. So there's the main board. Now let's talk sideboard options. I want to start off nice and easy with the character. Amajiki's a 7-hand size 20 health character. There are some characters in the world that, just run this through. I put this Ochako in the sideboard because everything that I wanted to do, right? Every attack. This one cannot. This one can. This one cannot. This one can. Let's just look. Right? Where's my cans and cannots? Right? What is allowed to move? So these are my cans, and these are my cannots. I'm totally okay with my Claw Stopper not going to my momentum, because I Ochako, and then I play my Zero Gravity Lift, and then Zero Gravity Lift puts itself in momentum, and then I get to instantly draw a Claw Stopper on turn 1 without having to see the fast hybrid. This card is supposed to be a more aggro version of what Amajiki is doing, or a more selective defender, right? I was playing against Nomu when I was Amajiki, and I felt like the scariest part of the game was on turn 2. I couldn't defend myself. I didn't have amassed my massive momentum. I hadn't eaten enough. Going into Ochako saying, hey, I can panic draw a card. Going into Ochako saying, hey, when you try to, stop my momentum from leaving early, I can just Ochako and put it through. There's answers. And also, Amajiki can get erased whenever in a really clutch moment of, hey, I need to give this thing plus a bunch of damage. This guy's got a pretty whatever eraser matchup. Ochako's matchup, while not favorable, is better than what Amajiki has in those panic moments. I always get to get my momentum, which means that eventually I can hopefully snowball into something that matters. Also versus Eraserhead, you just get to pick this card up every turn and say, hey, I hope you have enough throw hate, or I hope you can kill me quick enough because I'm just going to throw a 6 damage throw over and over and over again. Hey, every turn, I'm going to pick this up on yours. But I like Ochako. Haven't tried the deck out, or haven't felt like I needed to because I didn't fight those specific matchups. The next one is Self-Assured. Commit, change the zone, use requesting assistance, and ready it back. Hey Mirio, I didn't have the low block. This is what matters. A lot of my moves are also ranged, so a panic draw might not be bad. Could easily see if you think that your locals has just a ton of Mirios, just mainboarding this as a one of instead of like the Levitate or something. But I liked it in the sideboard. This goes over here. Triple card pool to work. This is Mirio tech. I played against a Mirio in my my provisional, and I didn't sideboard it in. Why? Because in the middle of game 1, my opponent stopped calling low. They started calling high. I don't know why, but that's what they decided to do. So I wasn't allowed to put this card in because this card wasn't a block versus that Mirio. A lot of Mirios are just spamming the low zone though, and so like this card might be worth it. It was just like trying to figure out some way to just not to get blown out on turn 2. I would, if I have said momentum. More importantly, said momentum, right? It's probably face up. On the first move, I could Amajiki and reduce the damage. Yes, I'll take an attack. That's okay because, you know, -3 negates Mirio and then -1. And then on the one that matters, I'll block, discard, clear my card pool. This does go in face down, but it at least cleared my card pool and made the block happen. Now, whenever I spin this momentum, I get it back, right? I remove this guy from the game, and then it continues. I'm taking this card out, but there was the thought process behind it. Maybe you can enjoy the deck. Double Sunny to the big 3. This card came in almost every single game. Flip for the minus speed. Flip for -3 speed on average. Feels incredible. And then just like canceling the momentum stuff. I have to figure out how to mainboard at least one more copy of this card. One encouraging training partner. I liked the 2 in the main, 1 in the side. I think it was perfect. I like it a ton. One more throw. I mean, people gotta die, right? Versus the 7-hand size character. Seafood Slugger's not getting it. That's more for that grindy game. And I wanted to try Slugger so bad. I'm just not in love with it. But having sideboarding the extra throw, also very good with the Ochako sideboards whenever we're Ochako. And then lastly, one League of Villains. This card is just MVP all weekend. Saying that my opponent had to ask permission to do things is so good. It's so good. Hey. Do I want you to draw a card? No. You want repeated smash? Do I want you to ready your whole board? Absolutely not. You don't get to do that. No. You get to play this one. Oh, and then I'll block with Manifest and I'll gain my 2 health. There's so much that this card can do. I dig it. I really, really dig it. So with that said, you guys, there's the Amajiki. It's a quick 30-minute video kind of explaining, you know, what the tactics of the deck are like. Again, if you like this kind of content, let me know down in the comments down below. With that said, you guys, thank you much for watching. As always, I wish you well.